Hey there, my name is Jordan. I'm here today to talk to you about Foggy Mountain Breakdown. This arrangement is based on Earl Scruggs' playing from the original single of Foggy Mountain Breakdown that came out in 1949, I believe. Legend has it that when he was playing with Bill Monroe, he was actually the one who wrote the song Bluegrass Breakdown, which is basically Foggy Mountain Breakdown with an F chord. But he didn't get credit for Bluegrass Breakdown, and instead of kind of grumping and griping, he took the higher road, changed a chord, and then wrote a song that kind of forever changed the face of bluegrass and banjo and inspired so many people to pick up this instrument. So Earl was a cool guy. So we'll talk about the tune, some practice tips, technique tips, go over some of the licks for you guys to check out, and talk about some of the tools that we have on TuneFox that's going to help you practice this thing effectively and efficiently and hopefully keep you inspired. So anytime we're learning Scruggs style banjo, especially if we're learning something like this that's pretty closely based on how he played it, we're learning bluegrass banjo, and we're going to be learning vocabulary that's reused in other Scruggs songs. And eventually, after enough time, we'll be able to reuse it ourselves in other situations. We'll be able to see, hey, every time Earl is on a D chord, he's using, one of these three licks, right? So over time, it's like learning a language. We start to see the same words and phrases pop up, and eventually we're able to reuse them ourselves. All right, I'm going to play through this thing kind of mid-tempo for you guys to hear. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm going to play through this thing slowly. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and 1 and 2. All right, I only played through those once through for going fast or mid-tempo kind of and slow. Earl played a bit faster, but if you're practicing, try to go through a lot more than once, right? If I was practicing that on my own, I'd go through it over and over and over. We want to try to play until it's easy. We want to try to play so we can keep consistently steady time, get better control over dynamics, tone, all of that stuff, right? And we want to play for endurance, especially if we're planning on playing with other people. We're going to be rolling and picking for a while, right? So we want to build up some endurance as players. Before you start your practice sessions, make sure to be listening to this tune. Try to listen to this once or twice through with the TuneFox player each time before you practice. Use those links we provide. Make a playlist, right? Listen to Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Listen to different versions of Foggy Mountain Breakdown regularly. We want these sounds in our ears so we know how it's supposed to sound, right? Even if we can't fully play it yet. It's really important. It's really going to help us grow as players. Also, kind of look over the tablature when we are learning. Look for repeating patterns and repeating licks. Lots of times we'll be able to spot those common bits of bluegrass banjo vocabulary as kind of made by Earl Scruggs, right? And once we learn those common bits, it's going to let us know what we should practice, right? If it's happening a bunch in the song, we're going to need to practice it. For example, this lick right here. That happens a lot in this song. It happens in a lot of other Earl Scruggs songs as well. So it's an important bit of vocabulary that we really need to get familiar with. The big thing to watch out for this one is for me, like in my experience teaching, is when we're sliding in to that E minor right? We're going from kind of these fast and furious rolling notes and then playing at almost half the speed, and a lot of people mess up the timing there. Again, that repetitive listening that I talked about, making listening a part of your practice, will help so much here because you'll know how it's supposed to sound. You're going to be ingesting kind of the right timing whenever we're listening a bunch and memorizing that sound. Another thing you can do is check out our more basic version of this song, right? It takes out that kind of anticipated attack where we're picking the first fret note and sliding in, right? So taking that out, right, removes a bit of challenge that might not even seem like a challenge, but it's something that trips a lot of people up. Now in this tune, a lot of people play the slurs like the hammer-ons and the slides different, and even Earl himself played them differently. For example, this opening riff here. Right there, I was playing with 16th notes, right on the beat. 1, E, and And you can see when I did that second hammer-on, it completed at the same time as that pick note. Right? Earl, a lot of the time, played these as grace notes, and he might do it differently. Other players do it differently, but I guess my point is that you have the option, right? You don't have to play it one way or the other, and you can experiment too, right? Right, that's more of a grace note. It's like an instantaneous hammer-on. Right? I kind of prefer that a lot of the time, but try both. They both have their merit, and it allows us to kind of add a couple different things to our bag of tricks there. Also, a lot of the things that are hammer-ons could be slides if you want, right? It's another option for you to add to your bag of tricks and to experiment with. So a lot of the licks in this are licks kind of almost exactly how Earl Scruggs played it. So you get some very cool ideas on how the master himself would vary and add variations to this tune. I think a cool one to check out is there in measure 7 and measure 8, the Earl Scruggs riffs. So it's just a really cool variation that adds a lot of extra exciting kind of pull-offs in. It sounds like this. And some of the other Scruggs style riffs in there kind of just go hog wild with the pull-offs and things, but it's a really fun thing to do, and nothing Earl didn't do before as well. So this is a great exercise for your pull-offs. If you were watching my fretting hand, you can see that I prefer the push-off. It's just something that I've picked up from watching other banjo players. It feels a little bit more banjo to me for whatever reason. But obviously we can just do this as a pull-off if that's your preference or what is good for you and your hands. Alright, if you are into studying bluegrass banjo, this is the right spot, right? We're learning a classic break with a lot of classic and important Scruggs vocabulary that's in just the basic arrangement here, and it's in the licks as well. Make sure to take it at a speed that you can handle, right? We want to try to play at a speed that we can play cleanly at and be in control of our dynamics, and then we want to start putting in those reps. We want to play repeatedly, and remember, listening should be a big part of your practice. All right, if you're planning on playing with others, don't neglect that backup, right? You're going to be playing backup more than lead at a jam, so we want to be good at that, okay? If this is too tough, you've got the difficulty slider, you have the tempo slider, you have the focus feature. You've got lots of TuneFox tools to help you nail this one down. You can also just go to the more basic Scruggs style version of this. No shame there. Nothing wrong with that. It's really good to have a super basic version of a tune as a safety net, right? So if you get flustered trying something fancy, we got something to fall back on, and usually simpler means we're going to be able to nail it better and maybe, actually more than likely, be able to play it at faster speeds, which If you're a bluegrass banjo player, that's your goal, right? But remember, we should try to put cleanliness ahead of speed. Earl did that, and that's probably one of the reasons, besides him playing since he was a little kid, why he was so good, is he valued cleanliness very highly. Also, just check out some different versions, right? So we have another version of this tune that's based off Earl's playing later in his career. We got some melodic style versions. There's just a lot to dig into. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope that all the tools here and the licks keep you inspired, right? Keep picking and stay tuned.